Something else I want to show you, speaking about animations, is that I showed you this resource which is private access. You can't, if you get on the web, you won't be able to get into it. You'll get to hear about it, but you can't access the material. But there's a lot of material you can have a look at on the web. And if you just, like I did yesterday, if you type in e-learning pharmacy and go really just down 2 sites, you come across the School of Pharmacy. What do I do there? And you see they too use Blackboard and e-learning, but more importantly over here they give demonstrations of various components of teaching that they've developed. So going through the web you can see a lot of information to explain to you how people are using e-learning in medical education. So just listening to me is fine, but other people are doing the same thing. And if you go to a couple of examples, for instance, if you look at this one here, it shows you for the physiologists or the molecular biologists or the endocrinologists, it shows you some fairly extensive information about the stomach and the secretion of various hormones and enzymes from the stomach. And as it says, if you go and click on each cell, it breaks it down to individual components interaction. If you go back and look at this one here, it becomes more interactive. Down the bottom it says click anywhere to start the cell. If you click in there, it gives you displays about events. It tells you to drag the glucose to the top of the GLUT2 molecule. If you don't do it properly, it says no, try again. Put it there. It gives you a reaction and then gives you more interactivity to go and do other things. It shows you the process of secretion. And lastly, and I'll explain why I'm showing this in a minute, oh, no, not that one. You can look at this yourself. Here's a test. You can use this as an assessment after giving some information. And I don't know the material myself, but I'll have a guess. It says to drag one of these drugs and see where it actually interacts with. It gives you an answer. No, it's not the right one. If you go there, no, it's not the right one. But if you go there, it says you're correct. Positive feedback. The reason why I showed you these is because often, and I'm doing them with histology, you might spend a lecture or half a lecture going through this explanation. You asked, or I mentioned before, how can you offload certain lectures? These people can do it because they've now got e-learning technology to help them. They can go to their students and say, look, go to this animation and you'll understand about whatever particular thing the animation's describing, in a very simple way that students can go over and over again to learn. Now you ask the students, would they prefer to do it that way, visual learning, or would they prefer to go and sit in a lecture that maybe at 8 o'clock in the morning, when they've been stuck in a traffic jam, when they're tired, and they get up and they listen to a description of that from a traditional lecture? I know what the answer is going to be. The answer will be, Geoff, stay home, stay in bed at 8 o'clock, We'll go through that in our own time. And then you can back up their learning by these little quizzes that this one demonstrates. So that's another example of technology used to enhance learning. Effective and efficient learning.
Well, you can display the lecture, you can display your lecture. You can do it the other way around, display the lecture, say 3 or 4 days or a week before.
Yes, you can.
Then come and discuss it.
Yes, you can.
I mean, much more better than just being the student with the internet and all sorts of difficulties.
There's lots of possibilities. You can tell your students, on Monday's lecture at 8 o'clock, we're going to discuss this event. And when they come into the lecture, you give them a quiz, or you say, righto, what's the first step? What's the second step? What drugs are important for these receptors? You can make it a discussion, an interaction. You can involve the students rather than you just standing up there and giving them the knowledge. And I'm sure this can be applied to lots of areas that you're teaching yourselves, as I know it applies to my area in histology. You know, I spent a whole lecture in histology explaining how the cells in the thymus go through their training program and how they interact with receptors and how they get better and better and how the ones that don't interact as quickly get lost. That takes a long time in a lecture, and animation does that in 5 minutes and saves me time, and it's more fun for the students. And that word fun for students is a key thing that we should be actually addressing.